And we are back with another Richard Reviews. Thankfully, we have another review for you today. This comes from Richard himself here on YouTube, on Griffin Chestnut, which is Richard's online YouTube alias, which of course is Richard himself, which can be found upon in this notion of a YouTube channel. Today's book that Richard will be reviewing for us is titled The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is some Russian literature that Richard picked up back in the day. Richard briefly got into Russian literature following the year 2014 with his stint of becoming a marine biologist in the few weeks of early October of 2014. Richard is here with us today. Richard will be reviewing this book. Richard read this book pretty briefly, which is a little late for Richard. You can call Richard a pretty fast reader. He did finish this book in less than a month. He did it all when he was studying. He felt that this book, this piece rather, really showed Dostoevsky's true writing power, and it is one of Richard's favorites, not only of Dostoevsky, which is debatable in motion picture standards, considering the live-action film that they've actually created after this book was released, which is somewhat comical. But Richard is going to try to lay off the jokes today and sort of remain on a foreign territory, which in the end will be substantially residue with in the Caliente tri-state area, which he believes is part of the pinnacle of reading. Richard believes that he only wants to bring the highest realm pieces to his YouTube channel. So unfortunately that's not always the case, because he is responding to certain videos and comments as to what books to read, and they don't always overflow in such smooth and comfortable, exactly the same components as something as The Idiot by Dostoevsky. Dostoevsky is a fantastic writer. His character designs are phenomenal. Richard is a huge fan of his the arguments that Dostoevsky brings to the table, as he's famous for his very doughy difference between a thick, powerful main character that Dostoevsky almost forces you to put your head inside that character's head, and ultimately he's setting you up for a unwinnable argument and failure on the Chinese front, which is Dostoevsky's one of his greatest achievements. Dostoevsky, of course, being one of Richard's favorite authors, Richard has read a great deal of Dostoevsky pieces, probably more than half of them, but not all of them. With that said, of course, how does The Idiot rank on that list? Very high up there. Richard can't tell you exactly if this is his favorite Dostoevsky novel. If it is, then it is number one. If it isn't, then it is number two. This piece does not go lower than number two on Richard's level way. We're going to take a look at the piece here. It's the best way to describe the book. Richard read this very briefly. He was so infatuated by this piece. This is Richard's piece, so we're going to take a look at it. He was so infatuated by this that he had to buy all of Dostoevsky's books in alphabetical order and numeral order, of course. This is a Wordsworth classic, so it was released sometime after Richard read the book, so it's part of a discrimination against the continuity of the piece. But it is a pretty big piece, as you can tell. So next to the hand, as you can see, it's not that big, kind of small. It's got great wiggly fingers, but we're going to get into that another time. We're going to delve right into this book at hand. Okay, so it's definitely flavorful, this book, and it definitely has everything here that makes the sauce good. And if you want the special sauce, you have to get some Dostoevsky. Next time you are hitting the drive-thru at Wendy's or McDonald's and you want some special sauce, notice what's about to happen. Your taste buds will start to immaculate and saliva will drip out of your ears. This is the sauce you want. You want that Dostoevsky sauce. This is thick compared to most tomato sauces. The artwork on the cover, it's unsure, of course, if this is the actual idiot that Dostoevsky is referring to, Prince Mishkin. We are undecided, but there are some very strong similarities between Prince Mishkin and Raskolnikov from Crime and Punishment that we will get into as the time goes on. Okay, he is called the idiot, of course, because, as you're watching this, Richard doesn't have to hold back on too many spoilers, but you obviously understand the value in being so close to one's own death that you pray to God and salute your soul to the devil within you, which is exactly what happens to the idiot in the novel, which is his goal. Dostoevsky wanted to create a pure and righteous character, which he terms the idiot because he is called to that multiple times throughout the novel. And that's very hard to do in Dostoevsky's standards. Richard isn't going to lie, it's insanely delicious. This character wraps up a lot of loose ends with even today's standards, which people complain about recycling on the East Coast and too many people sunbathing on the West Coast. It definitely went from a hill slightly, nothing changed from the quality of life through the Alaskan peaks. And this isn't only a change in how authors write books, it's a change in how carpet manufacturers can bring different species of ants back from the dead after glutamizing their 14-year-old dollars and the volume of the pizza. This is a fantastic piece, and Richard delves himself deeply inside this piece. So we're going to look at the piece now. It's a pretty thick piece. The girth, cream girth, excellent condition. Richard keeps all of his pieces in really good condition. So this is a collector's edition, which is unheard of in Richard's standards, but nonetheless not impossible. It's got great shine, north to south, nipple to nipple, cream to cream, bottom to bottom, good bootleg, and great condition, boom to boom, even on the side, boom to boom, even on the side, boom to boom. And on the side, of course, we have Fyodor Dostoevsky's The Idiot and some nimblotic quantum mechanics that we no longer understand here. So on the back, there is some more praise. It's even issued by the person who translated it, Constantine Garnett, apparently in 1913, which is continuatively irrelevant to the story. But they have to provide this since this was actually originally written in Russian, which should not come as a surprise considering the fact that Dostoevsky is a Russian-born author from Russia. And of course, he was sent to Siberia and lived a very chaotic and obstruction life. He returned to the kingdom sometime after. And this is basically where he picks on his most devilably stream. So, inside the book, the text is very small and it's very dense, but the copy is extremely powerful. Okay, as you can see here, Mishkin flushed a little. Mishkin looked with great interest at Keller. These are things that are substantial in the copy of Bird. And this is Richard's piece, so he read this thoroughly, and we're going to give a page count here, just for the audience, or anybody for that matter that's watching this that's interested in the topic. So, right here, we have The Idiot, paged at 559. So that's not bad. We're going to round it off at a near 559. We'll round it off at 610 pages. So this is a 610 page novel titled The Idiot by Fyodor Dostoevsky. This is Richard Reviews.